Welcome back, everyone, to the StarLadder and iLeague StarSeries, Day 6. This is, of course, Season 3, and I'm with Zalay Casting Matches. We were laughing about how long that Ungoro intro took, because I feel like I've been watching half the games, half of the intro. It's been kind of good, though. Anyway, that being said, the next game we've got is BunnyHoppor versus Xixo. So Germany is fighting off in a battle of, I want to say like the Titans, because we've seen very little of BunnyHoppor. You know, a lot of people don't know the name necessarily. He's not as high profile player as some of the other ones, but he's one of the, I want to say, more consistent players out there, and one of the most talented ones that's still yet widely unrecognized, or it's not like a meme name you recognize all the time.
Yeah, and you can see he's got a favorable record here, 3-0-2. Xixo, on the other hand, 2-0, just hasn't lost yet. So this may be the return of old Xixo. Not that Xixo ever really fell off, but I mean, there was a period of like a year where he just crushed everything, and now he's merely very good, sort of thing. And maybe he's coming back to old Xixo ways where he just wins everything again.
Yeah,
so,
people were saying for a while he was like the best player in the world, and so some people still stand by that, but I feel like the title is split between a lot of the top players as far as, you know, which player is obviously clearly the best. And Xixo does figure on that list. You know, one of the highest performing players over time, has held first place on the Ghosty Gamers ranking for a long time as well. Participated in tournaments across the world. It's not just the NA or the EU or, you know, just China. He's been everywhere, and it just seems to work for him no matter what.
All right, so BunnyHoppor bans Xixo's Shaman, which would indicate that BunnyHoppor has an aggressive lineup. I would expect that to be a token Druid and an aggro Murloc Paladin.
You mean the other way around? Xixo's banning Shaman, right?
Yeah. Sorry. Yes. So Xixo banned BunnyHoppor's Shaman, meaning Xixo is the aggro lineup probably. So Xixo probably bought token Druid, Secret Mage, aggro Murloc Paladin, and I guess Quest Rogue. And then BunnyHoppor banned Druid.
If you leave the Rogue up as BunnyHoppor, I think you might be playing aggro too and just trying to isolate it. The problem is when somebody brings Quest Rogue and Jade Druid and you're playing a control lineup, you're looking at this like, well, hey, I can't ban both, so I'm probably losing to at least one of them. So if you ban the Jade Druid, you're thinking at least sometimes you win against Quest Rogue, or you're just playing aggro and isolating it. And I would assume that's more likely to be the case, and they're just both aggroing each other.
Okay.
Is that an exaggeration, or is Token Shaman just not a thing?
I'm thinking I can't really tell what BunnyHoppor's lineup is based on the classes.
I mean, oh, Miracle Rogue. Well, hello, baby.
Right.
It's been a while. I haven't seen you today, nor in the past week, to be fair. This is great.
Xixo, we don't actually identify Xixo's deck type based on these 4 cards. It's all kind of cards. It could be in a couple of either mid-range or aggro Murloc Paladin. Even with Hydrologist, it's not 100% clear, really.
We're looking for Grimscale Chums, Cold Light Seers. Indicators of it being more aggressive.
Blessing of Kings, that's another one.
Yep. Doesn't really show up in the other list. But so Xixo probably knew that this was going to be Miracle Rogue based on other matches BunnyHoppor has disputed on the StarLadder stage, so to speak. Still no indication.
And that's a good sign for Xixo, right? Because he's just drawing the good cards that are in all the Paladin decks. Not the sketchy
If
cards
they're
that
everywhere,
you're
probably happy. Yeah, you're right.
BunnyHoppor picks up Edwin Van Cleef, exactly what he needed to be in this game. He had kind of a slow, clunky draw, but now all of a sudden he's looking at turn 2 Dagger. He could play Thalnos on 2 to try and cycle into a free spell for a bigger Van Cleef, but he goes for the safe, solid Dagger. He's looking at Prep Abyss Van Cleef next turn.
Yeah, I feel like Rogue is usually doing super well against these types of decks. I mean, not with a hand like this, granted, you know, but you've got the Blood Mage, you can get Fan of Knives, that's always a possibility. You've got good backstab plays. Rogue is pretty well positioned overall to deal with this, and we've seen a resurgence of Questing Adventure as well, which is kind of hard to answer without the Aldor and the mid-range lists.
So BunnyHoppor could slow it down for a turn here. He has the option to wait and try and get an Eviscerate on the Murloc War Leader next turn, but then he's running into Magasaur on 4. So he just goes for it now. Oh, he actually goes for Hallucination over Eviscerate.
No, he went for the Edwin.
Because once... Yeah, no. Hallucination over Eviscerate. He's always going for the Edwin here. But he went Hallucination over Eviscerate because he wanted to Eviscerate the War Leader next turn.
Yeah, I think Eviscerating the War Leader is just pretty consistent here, since that's what you anticipate is going to happen. Worst case scenario, I mean, sometimes you get like you need an answer to the Megasaur on top of that, but I think you're almost always...
He's looking at a double eviscerate line here to full clear. You eviscerate the War Leader and face tank it, then eviscerate the Tidecaller.
Yeah, it's kind of slow, but at the same time, you do have the Thalnos fan afterwards, so it replenishes your hand. Like, it doesn't seem like much, but he's got 3 new cards in hand if he chooses to wait here, right? Like, if he just slows down a bit. The thing is, this Murloc is probably always trading into Thalnos, as you can't justify letting it live. Well, maybe now with this, things change. The Secret's Noble Sack. Huh.
Look how sick this pressure from Xixo is. You can Hero Power Rock Pool and get in for 6 if you wanted. That would leave Thalnos up. Which is very scary against a rogue with Fan of Knives.
How do you feel about just Hero Power Rock Pool, trade into Thalnos? This is worse against Fan.
Yeah, I mean,
but
wow.
Better against Backstab. I mean, like, if you have the...
You definitely don't expect Backstab based on the fact that
it's too much.
Tidecaller's alive.
Yeah,
Tidecaller's
been there earlier.
And he does value protecting his board over pushing face damage, which makes a lot of sense with the rogue at 24 life. Paladin doesn't play any fireballs, right? It plays for board with Sunkeeper Tarim. So that's why he's trading instead of going face. It feels horrible to trade a 6-attack minion into a Blood Mage Thalnos, especially when you're trying to kill a squishy rogue, but Xixo's just saying, look, what's important here is protecting my board presence, so I need to remove that spell damage.
And I can't afford letting it live, so the issue, too, is, like, if I let it live and the board gets cleared up, for whatever reason, and then I play Finja, at least, I think that, like, the argument would have been to keep the Thalnos on the board just because Finja can get a kill on it. That would have been, like, the only reason I could see it happen as a setup play, but you can find other setups with the Finja and Sunkeeper together.
So BunnyHoppor goes for the Fan of Knives. Questing Eviscerate was a line. Oh, it picks up Backstab. That's going to be really good in the future with his Questing Adventure. Or maybe a Sherrison even. Yeah, so the Fan of Knives Eviscerate just full clears.
It's a painful face tanking.
Yeah. But it's really important full clear.
Yep.
Xixo doesn't think too much about this Fender. He's got Wild Pyromancer in his deck.
Maybe not the Hyper Aggro lineup after all.
No, this is more of a mid-range Paladin. If he's playing Pyromancer, he probably has 2 equalities. And 0 Scrimscale Chums, 0 Blessing of Kings would be my guess.
Alright, we could hallucinate what here? Equality into Fan of Knives for later. Could be pretty sick. Oh.
Probably Hammer Wrath for a rogue. He doesn't want to adapt his Silverhand recruits.
I would take the 2 ones on the right if I could have both.
Yeah, the combo.
Get those 1/1s up and light Stegodon. I'm pretty sick, but not like this.
Could just Hammer Wrath face and avoid playing a minion into the Finja, but he figures Finja trading into Sherrison's awkward enough that he'll allow it. So Pyro Getaway Kodo trade Finja is one line. Sunkeeper Tarim trade Finja is a line.
I mean, that one actually makes your Finja survive if there's a War Leader, right? Which is not the case with the Wild Pyro Kodo. Like an
Pyro Kodo saves the Finja, or saves the Tarim for next turn, which could be a lot better.
Yeah, I think especially since you're spawning an extra 1/1 after this play and summoning 2 Murlocs out of the deck, I think you're correct. It's almost always better.
He does actually know, if Xixo's tracking hand carefully, he knows BunnyHoppor has a Fan of Knives in hand, because BunnyHoppor Mimic Potted 2 Fan of Knives.
Right.
And he played one of them, so Xixo knows there's that far left Fan of Knives in BunnyHoppor's hand if he's tracking hand that closely, which is difficult to do.
Well, Xixo's definitely the caliber of player that can do that, and I have no doubt that he's been doing just that.
So questing Backstab Fan of Knives Daggerhead clears the board here and develops a nice big questing.
It's pretty sick, because now you're forcing them to be playing a version with Aldor Peacekeepers. When you see the Wild Pyro, that's probably in there, but you're forcing them to play it out now, and Aldor doesn't even deal with questing all that well. It's just delaying the inevitable when the questing becomes too big for you to handle.
Right. And that Getaway Kodo not doing what Xixo wanted. He would have preferred to have had like a Redemption or a Noble Sacrifice to protect a board for the Sunkeeper Tarim here.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward for BunnyHoppor too, forced to pass the turn with a 4/4 questing. He's hoping there's no 2-server champion. Fortunate enough that there isn't. In this case, Xixo will not be able to punish this questing.
Sunkeeper tear him into a questing adventure. Some feels bad, man. They play 4 spells for shares in? Oh, easily.
Oh, yeah, with that Razor Petal for sure.
Now, does he want to save the Vile Spine Slayer for Paladin's 8-drop? Stuff like Primordial Drake, Sun and Tyrion, and Rag Lightlord, right? So he'd like to not use the Vile Spine Slayer this turn.
He can't afford not to. I mean, it seems like the questing's not being answered by anything in the hand for BunnyHoppor. So I don't think you have to play the Vile Spine just yet, especially since you can revive that Sunkeeper. Go Razor Petal plus Fan plus the Razor Petal itself. That does it, right? Or even Hammer of Wrath, actually. It's even better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so Razor Petal plus the Petal plus Hammer of Wrath. Which I guess would mean the questing is trading in, and the Petal itself is going face. Goes for Fan and Knives. This is 2 cards played for shares in. He needs to play 2 more. Oh, Swashbuckler. Into Ivory Knight. That's going to be nice. Discover a spell for Rogue. Rogue likes discovering spells.
And suddenly Xixo on an equality. Probably hoping for that. Now, the Wild Pyro Consec definitely clears up pretty much all the board. The issue is then that questing just keeps going. It's not over. That's a problem.
He could go Pyro Spikeridge Steed instead. It clears 3 1/1s. Compared with Consecration, you leave 7 attack and the Sherazin and the Razor Petal. But what you get for it is 13 health worth of taunt. So I think Pyro Spikeridge Steed might be the play here.
I mean, you're only weak to Sap, right? But no matter which play you make, Sap ruins you. From what I can understand. Maybe he's trying to push phase damage with Ashbringer over 3 turns. It's not wrong. It might work. If you have equality Consec, you clean up, then you just win the game.
Yeah, so now BunnyHoppor has Hammer Face, Vile Spine Slayer, Push All Face. That does...
So many options.
22 damage?
22 damage,
Xixo at 7.
Exactly, so it leaves...
with 3 in hand and an Ivory Knight and a Gadget. There's just... Xixo...
Potentially a Cold Blood, right? There's potentially a Cold Blood in there for the future turns if something sticks. He's got Southsea deck hand maybe in there. Something you see quite often in Miracle Rogue.
At this point, even if Xixo picks up the equality to clear with Pyromancer, which he doesn't, he's going to die. Even if he did pick it up and clear, BunnyHoppor has a turn like Gadget Sand, Petal Face drawing a card, Razor Petal, Petal Face drawing a card. That's the 4th card played for the turn, reviving the Sherazin. You know, it's brutal.
Well, is he dead though? Like Pyro Spikeridge Steed. Sorry, I just need to do it again, because if you put it on the Vilefin, you have like 1 more damage tanked on it.
Yes, that's 14 health
Put
worth
up
of
to
taunt.
8, so he has like to trade 2 minions in. So 14 health worth of taunts, I think, keeps you...
Look, I count.
Oh,
I think it's
right,
lethal.
Never mind. I think it's lethal anyway. Yeah.
With the 2 petals in BunnyHoppor's hands, I don't... And also with Consecration, yeah, it's way over lethal.
Yeah, with Consec, it actually is way over lethal. I was looking at the natural board state. Xixo does not see a lethal available, so he's going to play it out. He knows there's a Razor Petal, and with the Razor Petal alone, he's not dead. That's the important part, right? Like, with Razor Petal alone, I don't think he's dead yet. If he wasn't dead, now he is. Goodbye. BunnyHoppor. You will be missed.
So it's a lethal puzzle. See if you can spot it, chat.
Which of these 7 cards do you want to play? Feels bad. Well, that's kind of what Miracle Rogue does against Paladin. I feel like it's super well equipped to handle everything that Xixo pulled out, even without the backstabs, which is the impressive part to me. You know, the Edwin put in a lot more work than I had anticipated, forcing Xixo to respond. It's like one of those explosive stars that doesn't kill the opponent the way you usually want Edwin to do, but you're forcing the Paladin to slow down his aggressive curve to where then you're able to put up the the burst later on. Questing being the essential card in the matchup.
Yeah, so the prep of this Van Cleef, like you said, just kind of kept Xixo off the board. It gave BunnyHoppor the tempo, the time he needed to keep Xixo off the board so that Xixo wasn't snowballing Murloc advantages with War Leader and anything like that. He was just, every turn he was getting cleared. And the Paladin needs to be ahead on board to be winning. So
now, Xixo with up against the Druid. Now the question is, what is BunnyHoppor bringing? It looks like it's more on the mid-range side now, based on the.
I think Jade Druid, right?
Yeah, I would assume Jade Druid's the deck he's running. We'll see though. BunnyHoppor will bring out his own Paladin. Aldor tells me we're looking at mid-range, probably-ish.
And BunnyHoppor keeps Stonehill Defender off the mulligan. Very interesting. I would not have expected that. Xixo's got a pretty strong draw in that he has 2 Fireflies, so he's kind of on his way with the quest. Choose to thin the patches out of his deck to up his chances of finding more tools to complete the quest faster. It's also just the highest tempo play. Keep BunnyHoppor's Murlocs off the board so that there's no snowballing advantages that way.
Yeah, if you have enough bounce in hand, sometimes you can afford to keep that pirate for the the value of the whole 5/5 coming out whenever you complete your quest. Otherwise, it's kind of hard to justify because the amount of damage you push with these 2 little guys here, for instance, is often going to equate the patches being a 5/5. Like it's going to add up to that if the opponent's on a slow plan. So it's just better to get the patches out early, especially in this case where Xixo's looking at 0 bounce, no Shadow Steps, no Brewmasters.
I think the turn 1 Xixo deckhand had a lot to do with the fact that BunnyHoppor's playing Paladin as opposed to something like Shaman. He wouldn't play turn 1 deckhand against a potential Maelstrom portal, but Paladin, the earliest AoE they're going to have is like Consecration. So just jam those little dudes out there when they're going to do work for you.
Suddenly that Stonehill Defender keep looking brilliant. It just was one of these things you're like, I'm not sure about this. Oh, wait. Look at that opener from Xixo. Looking a lot cooler now.
So Xixo doesn't go for the Mimic Pod. He instead kind of plays for board. That's interesting. Like, I would have expected a Mimic Pod there for sure, because he has a very slow, expensive hand, and playing Mimic Pods draws him towards the tools he needs to complete the quest and execute that game plan. But he's playing sort of more like a non-quest rogue, where he just kind of like plays his minions and uses his dagger efficiently. It's weird.
I think the idea that Xixo is trying to put himself in a position where he has a board when the quest is completed, so he just wants to be always a tiny bit ahead of the opponent, given that, especially in this case, there's not been like a blowout opener for Murlocs on BunnyHoppor's side, and we still don't know what exactly that deck contains, like card for card, because that Hydrologist just makes its way everywhere. I'm not sure if it's a control Paladin or a mid-range deck, right?
Control versus mid-range, let's see. Yeah, I can't really say too much about that. Yeah, based on what we've seen. No, you're right.
Oh, hello.
Hungry Crab for Xixo. That lines up well against BunnyHoppor's Hydrologist.
That's pretty crazy, actually. Igneous Elemental definitely... Not sure it's not a bounce, but that card is going to complete a quest, and it's generating so much power on the back of it with the amount of 1/2s you get that BunnyHoppor is going to be on a game plan of equality, Wild Pyro, equality Consec, or bust once Xixo gets to that point. It's a really big deal.
Many options.
So I'm starting to understand why BunnyHoppor kept that Stonehill Defender. It has something to do with Xixo is playing Hungry Crab, so BunnyHoppor doesn't want to play as Hydrologist, so he's more interested in those early game tools like Stonehill Defender.
That Firefly could still be the target of the bounces, assuming Xixo picks one up off the draw, because he's got 2 Brewmasters, 2 Gadison Fearman, 2 Shadow Steps. That's like 6 outs off the draw to bounce that weakened minion. The issue is right now, if he's giving his opponent a Consec...
Oh, he's for sure trading into this Stonehill Defender, right?
That might be fine if you give your opponent a Consec early, because that way you don't need quality Consec. But I'd be inclined to, with the slowness of his hand, I'd be inclined to just trade away my stuff.
Yeah, Xixo just doesn't really gain anything by not making the attacks. He just kind of gives BunnyHoppor options.
Oof.
Sunshaper's active, but he doesn't really need it defensively. Playing the Igneous Elemental gets him closer to completing the quest. There's a lot of ways this could be played by Xixo. He could Mimic Pod looking for stuff. I like that option the least because he already has Igneous Elemental, which is the stuff to do the quest. He could take the Stone Shaper, though, just because it lines up well on board against an Infested Tauren.
Yeah, I think the Tolvis Stone Shaper, if you look at it that way, like he's been so kind of struggling to trade stuff away and maintain himself in a position of being at an advantage. When you see the Tolvi, you're thinking, all right, so here are 2 free turns. I get to play this guy, probably stay ahead, take my time, Mimic Pod behind this, play my Elementals on turn 6 if I want to, and I have all the time in the world to establish that pre-quest board. So I like playing the Tolvir because of the amount of time it buys. I think it's a pretty big deal.
Okay. And Xixo's looking at something like double Igneous Elemental next turn, or maybe just 1 with a Mimic Pod first.
Sure.
You only really need 1 to have enough stuff to complete the quest.
Yeah, Tolvir is also not very weak against anything in the Paladin deck. I mean, it lines up super well against True Silver Champion. Spiker Steed is not enough to really do anything, assuming the opponent plays in on a small minion on the next turn. There's really nothing that BunnyHoppor does that you can't, I think, answer for that little 3/5. Wow.
Prep's a great draw for Xixo. Gives him a lot more tempo. With a hand that already has a lot of value from Igneous Elementals and Mimic Pod. And he trades in here to mitigate the value of a Consecration for BunnyHoppor.
Yeah, also plays around Spiker Steed a little bit, where your 3/5 does not die, and then you can trade away your guys and set up the biggest possible board. That Hungry Crab's going to find some sick value for Xixo, though, especially if it gets to bounce. I mean...
Well, yeah, that's an excellent point. Xixo finds anything off Mimic Pod to combo with the Hungry Crab. Shadow Step, Brewmaster, Ferryman, second Hungry Crab. All of those just devastating swings against Finja. What Xixo does not want to see would be like a second preparation. He wants to see value cards, not tempo cards.
BunnyHoppor just staring down. Like, he's got plays, but against Quest, they're all so slow. It's really hard to make anything happen.
Goes for Hydrologist, because he has to play into Hungry Crab anyways.
I mean, you're not extracting any Finja value this turn because of the 4/5. So you might as well just play it slowly at this point.
So he's got Getaway Kodo and Burn Bristle set up. Vanish is a nice pickup for Xixo. That's kind of a value play he's looking for. I don't think it's what he's doing this turn. He may run Dagger and then Igneous Elemental into Burn Bristle. And he can Mimic Pod first and see if that gives him better options.
Sure, let's get away, go to the Hydrologist. It's not a really big problem. The cool thing, too, is that Xixo's got so much time to complete this quest. Like, he's in no rush to get this done. I mean, it'd be great to get it early, but at the end of the day, when you've got the Vanish and the Paladin's got about 0 pressure on board, his Sinja is stranded because you've got a 3/5 with Taunt. It's kind of insane.
It was important that Xixo went with Hungry Crab before killing the Burn Bristle, because if it's a redemption, you'd much rather proc Redemption on Hydrologist than on the Burn Bristle for that second Divine Shield.
Alright, finally, BunnyHoppor is going to find something to do with that Finja. It's going to get out a really, really good board, but that Hungry Crab being bounceable, pretty big liability. Unfortunately for Xixo, still no bounces. But he can start doing his quest, I think. He's got 2 Flame Elementals to go, so if he just plays both and quests for 2 mana, maybe even draws with Novice first to see. But BunnyHoppor is just going to scoop it. He's like, you know what, this is pointless. Quest is complete, I've got 0 chance. I can't possibly win this long term. Well, not something you expect, but he knew it was
not wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not wrong. It's definitely not wrong.
So Xixo ties it up, getting a win with his quest stroke, which was probably easy against BunnyHoppor's lineup. I'm assuming that's a Jade Druid from BunnyHoppor, not a token, based on the fact that he has a Shaman. It's kind of one of the main indicators there. BunnyHoppor kind of going with that mid-range lineup of mid Paladin, Miracle Rogue, Jade Druid, Jade Druid and, whatever Shaman.
Yeah, it looks like it's probably going to be a Jade Shaman. We've seen a ton of Jade Shaman in the event so far. Xixo is going to be on the Discover Mage plan, which is one of the decks that... Secret Mage. All right, we're switching up gears. This is a lot more aggressive and a lot burstier and a lot better against the Jade Druid than the Discover Mage. I was going to say this is a bad matchup for Xixo, but suddenly...
Now, the Secret Mage was expected out of Xixo based on his ban and his lineup.
Sure.
It's consistent with what he's doing. It's the more aggressive Mage. It fits in the aggressive lineup better. Gluttonous Ooze for BunnyHoppor does actually answer Atiesh from Medivh in Xixo's Secret Mage.
I was like, why is Xixo saying well played? Oh, he drew Wild Growth. I see. Yeah. Clearly my opponent did not misplay.
And
so I could get a
Arcanist.
free secret here, right?
Yeah, Secret's pretty good. Not only is it free, but it sets up for the Arcanist if he finds one. And he does.
Spellbender.
It's Spellbender.
What's sick about it is if Wrath comes out, then that 3/2 does not get dealt with. And the 1/3 might even live if you Wrath for card draw.
No, there's still going to be a hero power in the 1/1 trading into
I mean, sorry, the 1/3 might even live. My bad.
Okay, yeah.
The little Spellbender that comes out of it. It's not a huge deal, but it's marginal keep.
So, I imagine BunnyHoppor's going to play Jade Spirit on curve. He feels sad about leaving the girl alive, but it's just a little bit too important to play on curve here. The downside to leaving the girl alive is what? Xixo could play a Fireball turn early, not threatening. The scarier things would be something like Arcane Intellect or Primordial Glyph exploiting the girl, but it's just too important to play on curve here.
Yeah, I think a double secret turn would be spooky, but again, we're talking about another glyph, right? Because then double secret turn, Cabal Crystal Runner, GG. Things just get out of hand quick. But no matter how much you look at this, I think it's going to include a glyph. And since you've already seen one, no reason to worry about it.
And look how awkward this turn is for Xixo. He's got the Kirin Tor Mage, but no secret to go with it. He's got the Fireball, but no good target for it. It's too early to go face. He's got the girl, but it floats a mana. He's not getting anything out of the discount. The Jade Spirit was actually just brutally effective for BunnyHoppor here against what Xixo's got going on. Jams out a 4/3. He knows he's not likely to get Battlecry value up anytime soon. And he value trades with the girl.
Yep,
Interesting.
I really like that. It's a little bit bad against Swipe, but if Swipe is their best play, you play a 5/5 in the back of it with the Ethereal Arcanist. Sorry, Swipe can't even trigger because Spellbender is eating it up. And
well,
then what
it still
ends up
kills the girl.
Yeah, and then they have to value trade, and then you play a 5/5 into a 2/3, right? Oh, you don't have a secret left over.
No.
That's right. Man, how does this line up well for Xixo then?
It's awkward. Speaking of awkward, BunnyHoppor's position. If he Feral Rages down the Kirin Tor Mage, he can't hero power to kill a Sorcerer's Apprentice. You only get one character attack per turn, right? So, what's he doing here? He could, let's see. So he's looking at Elephant next turn. So he's got a plan for next turn. It's just a question of how to use this turn effectively.
I like Feral Rage to kill the 4/3.
You can just
you
tempo
check
this
for
Gluttonous Ooze.
counter spell at the same time, or tempo 3/3 double trade.
I like this play from BunnyHoppor. Like he doesn't know that Xixo has Medivh in hand. That's pretty unlikely. And this way, his face kills a minion. He develops a minion. Doesn't actually clear the Kirin Tor Mage, so he leaves that one up.
Well, that's gonna make things a little bit easier for Xixo then, because he was not anticipating to get out of this turn with an extra secret left. I don't think.
Okay, so Ethereal Arcanist for Xixo.
Sure, sounds about right. Then you got a 10/5 with Fireball with the girl. Pretty good.
Right. I mean, it's a 4-mana 5/5 that threatens to grow even more. Needs to be dealt with.
And the problem is, you can't use direct damage spells with it. And that's kind of what BunnyHoppor's playing around right now. Oh man. For a rage trade? I mean,
No,
BunnyHoppor
this is
is
just-
almost...
This is just Jade Behemoth. You trade your 3/3 and 2/2 into the Ethereal Arcanist, and your Jade Spirit pushes 2 to the face. You definitely want to play your Jade Behemoth on curve here. You definitely want to kill off that Arcanist before it grows anymore. Yeah, it's just nothing.
Playing around counterspell the whole way, right? Just making sure that it's not vulnerable to anything. Now, there's an argument for Fireball by far over the
Oh yeah,
the
it's
Arcanist.
perfect.
It's nice to have the 5/5, but it's not nice enough to forsake this value. And you've also got the Spellbender still established, so any removal that comes in is going to be hindered. Unless it's Feral Rage, clearly.
So Xixo trades here. He's fighting for board rather than pushing face damage against BunnyHoppor, and that's based largely on Xixo's hand. He's got that Medivh there, and he's already seen the Gluttonous Ooze come out. So Xixo's just thinking, okay, the way I win this game is advantages on board, snowballing over several turns. So I'm not going to try and race down the Jade Druid's life total, knowing they have cards like Feral Rage to gain more life. Instead, I'm just going to focus on taking the plays that most consistently leave me ahead on board.
So do you ever just ping an Ethereal Arcanist to set up a Firelands? Because that Valet can get a lot of value later on. Like
Value
snipe
Valet.
something. Yeah. I mean, if it slows down the Druid, anything goes. Oh god. Our Lord and Savior.
Bow down before the god of something.
Madness?
Yeah. Madness would make more sense.
I think it's Madness. I'm not sure. But I can look it up.
Alright, so BunnyHoppor Feral Rage down that second Arcanist. Bully pushes some damage.
Oh, this is a God of Death. You were right.
Okay.
So that last turn's ping was a really good setup for Firelands Portal. Without that Firelands Portal, maybe the play would have been slightly different, where he went with the Valet.
Coin is so nice for BunnyHoppor. You can see why he put the that 4/6 in his deck, the Burgly Bully. It's because of the synergy with Gadgetzan, Auctioneer, and even Yogg Saron. He's juicing the Yogg.
I have recent memories of Burgly Bully leading to somebody mailing their Antonitis, but
That's pretty fun.
yeah. Overall, it's been a very good card in decks like the one that BunnyHoppor's piloting right now. The issue with it is, of course, you need to be expecting something a bit slower. Against aggro decks, clearly not the best of the cards. But against a deck like this, it's particularly good. Now, Medivh in the Secret Mage is not an auto-include, by the way. You know, we haven't really mentioned it, but this is one of those cards that you really play if you're expecting a field that's going to be a bit more on the slow side. Because the way Xixo's deck seems to be built is it's playing a full-on secret package with, on top of it, some of the value generators that you find in, like the value generator of Medivh, let's say, that you find in something like Discover Mage. So it's just forsaking some of the Cabal Courier, Babbling Book type openers and focusing on the secrets.
So BunnyHoppor has tested Counterspell. It's kind of narrowed down to like Spellbender, Ice Block. And it is in fact Spellbender. He was definitely hoping it would be Ice Block so he could actually clear the Medivh here. It's much harder for him. And this is Xixo's Power Spike. Medivh sticks to the board as a 7/6 that can attack, and furthermore, he has an Atiesh. It's just going to start juicing.
No secrets up besides Spellbender possibly being played this turn. That's going to be a 3-drop summon. He's going to get good value from the Valet. The cool thing, too, is that he's got exactly 2 mana left over for the ping, so he's going to get perfect value from the Valets. And this is...
That's a good taunt to roll. Squirming Tentacle, great card. That's what I always say. No, but seriously, it is a good card here.
It's a great card.
It's protecting his Medivh, protecting his life total. He needs these things protected by a taunt. He wants his opponent to be trading into a taunt, not trading into his Medivh, not killing him.
Yeah, and right now BunnyHoppor's really got no way to deal with this. He's
got one way. You see the God of Death in his hand? Costs 10 mana, far left side. That answers any board state, no matter how bad. Sometimes.
Is that where we're at, though? Are we this early? Like, are we this late in the game that we can commit? Because the Drake might make us survive one extra turn, right?
Yeah, but it's really bad on this board. Like, I'd probably rather Yogg now and Drake later. Well, I mean, you could Drake first. I just don't see how it's really getting better for you. I guess one advantage to Drake now is you can bait out more Medivh ATS charges.
Yeah.
And then Yogg all of that, if that's how you want to look at it.
No, or we just Yogg right away. Let us see. Do we Doom? We Flame Geyser. Okay, that's kind of cute.
That was a short Yogg.
Yeah, that Medivh, though.
No. R.I.P. And there's the Yogg nerf coming into effect. Yogg stops as soon as he kills himself.
Well, I can't complain. I absolutely will not complain about this.
Doomsayer? You could get Doomsayer off the ATS here, potentially. Let's see. So Blizzard to contest. Yeah, Blizzard and Vaporize are too defensive. Mana Bind is more potentially offensive. Like, should BunnyHoppor use something like a Feral Rage or a Swipe, the Mana Bind converts nicely for Xixo into something aggressive. Whereas Vaporize and Blizzard are like very defensive tools, and Xixo is clearly the beatdown here against the Jade Druid.
Oh, you could get the Mana Bind to get the Feral... Oh, we've seen 2 Feral Rages, right?
Okay, so he picks the Blizzard to protect his future boards from BunnyHoppor's minions. Oh, Wolf Rider! Smork!
That's going face! This is good. This is what we're looking for.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the perfect follow-up, man. 2-drop, pick up a secret, play Kirin Mage, get 0 mana counterspell on the board. There is no comeback mechanism for BunnyHoppor. He's got a swipe in the deck. Could go for Nourish and a swipe to eat it up, but...
Yeah, but that counterspell just stops it, right?
Yep. So
Memorial Drake. He tested the Mirror Entity before going for Memorial Drake. He also tested the Potion of Polymorph.
Yep, good sequencing there by him. Still is going to be looking for something to gain him some armor. And there isn't much left. Xixo can just start pinging every turn to counter the armor gain. You might play... Do you see Blizzard coming out here? It's a bit ambitious, but I think it's...
He's trying to protect his board so that he can actually push some damage with it. There's no rush to play the Ice Block. You can Blizzard and ping this turn. Do you actually trade into the Primordial Drake? Yeah, right, to protect your minions from stuff? Apparently not. It's not.
I don't mind it.
Yeah,
you're not wrong. I think you're not wrong, because with Spellbender and Counterspell, there's like spell into swipe, which really ruins you because your guys just die off. But if you ping Blizzard now as Xixo, you're putting the Drake in like Kirin ping range, which means next turn you get to attack with a 2/3. It's clearly not awful, but it's not. Doesn't feel very good.
Okay. So he chooses to save the Blizzard. Doesn't mind the Primordial Drake's attack. It has taunt anyways. Fair enough.
BunnyHoppor will have to check for another secret. So Mirror Entity at any point is pretty frustrating.
Vandal Nourish would be so great, except for that Xixo's secrets just shut it down. There's a counterspell. So one line of play would be Jade Blossom to bait the counterspell, Nourish to draw cards after, try and find something defensive. Like an Earthen Scales.
It's about the only card left, right? Unless he picks up Innervate with Swipe. Oh, Innervate Swipe's actually pretty insane, to be fair.
Oh, there's a Wrath. That's pretty nice. Oh, wow. Look at these options.
I'm partial to the I don't get killed by Fireball option. But...
Yeah, it also saves the Wrath.
Spellbender is going to eat it up. Do you still gain the armor? You get 2, right?
Yeah, I think that's what happens. So you do die to Fireball in the case of Spellbender.
Ouch. Well, Spellbender is still going to eat it up, but... At least you get to keep more armor next turn if your guy survives. You can always play Aya Earthen Scales on the following turn, which is more than you can say about the current state of the board.
Sure. This is the more mana-efficient play.
Oh, well, never mind.
That's going to do it. Smork.
Not showing the Firelands portal. It's unnecessary. Don't want to show that you top deck him to death. It's good enough that you've already set this up to where you could get yourself a kill. And Xixo is going to take you 2-1 over BunnyHoppor. He's got another deck left in his back pocket. I believe that's the Rogue, right? From the Paladin, sorry, from Xixo. Ended up winning early with the quest. With an insta-concede from BunnyHoppor. So that Paladin's on the mid-rangey slow side for Xixo as well.
So Xixo's Paladin probably going to be favored against BunnyHoppor's Jade Druid, but not too favored.
I must protect the wild. I will fight.
Yeah, it's got that Wild Pyromancer, so you're right. It was the slower one.
It's still a mid-range deck. I mean, the Pyromancer is just a good get-out-of-jail-free card in some circumstances. I think it's pretty cool. It's just not a card you tend to see too much in mid-range Paladin, because one of the goals of the deck is clearly to just develop onto the board and stay there early. You start running into issues when you face off against You know, so like Taunt Warrior that sometimes when they get the right curve going, it's a little bit difficult. You can usually outvalue them, but they have like huge chunky minions. A Primordial Drake on the other side. They play Tareem, and you need to make sure you can equalize. It's one of those cards that just bails you out with equality.
So Xixo's got a pretty nice curve here. Just Murloc into Murloc Secret into True Silver. But BunnyHoppor is shutting it down. I think Xixo actually doesn't mind this, even though it's annoying to lose value off Rockpool Hunter. Big picture, it means BunnyHoppor didn't have a hand with Wild Growth or a good coin Jade Blossom. So, works out. Stonehill Defender finds Tyrion. And Tyrion is kind of a problem for Jade Druid. Yeah, right? They don't have great answers to that. Oh,
well, they've got
pretty
the
good answer.
Ooze-ish, but that's usually going to be used on one of your multiple Tyrions. So if you have many of them, it's alright. You can afford to lose the first Ashbringer.
Yeah, and the Ooze might pop off on the True Silver as well, depending on the game pans out.
Yeah, there are a lot of circumstances where that's just the optimal line where you need to establish a way for them to not keep value. And this is one of these cases, I think, because BunnyHoppor's got a super dry turn 4 otherwise. Unless he picks up Jade Spirit number 2 off the draw. This is looking at dead turn. Jade Blossom. Maybe. Yep.
Yeah, he's pretty happy to take that Ooze value here. So you could War Leader and buff it with the Rock Pool. Would be a strong way to spend 5 mana, set up a powerful board for the Spike Ridge Steed on 6.
War Leader Getaway Kodo says, sure, I'll take another Tyrion. Or...
just the strongest play on board. Makes a lot of sense for Xixo here.
How does BunnyHoppor go through this? He'd need to have Swipe to really start denting this board state. But that's a decent draw. Innervate here can start things going next turn. Burgly Bully gives you an extra coin off of Spike Ridge Steed.
Yeah, but the opponent gets some nice trades there.
Yeah, I'm not digging it. I don't think that's the way to go.
You might have to risk it. Like playing Burgly on 5 is very appealing, especially with like an Auctioneer in hand for BunnyHoppor. So I might see him just take these trades and play the Burgly Bully on curve. Alternatively, you could Feral Rage down that War Leader. More interactive play.
I like interactive in my Hearthstone occasionally.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense.
Yep. Really
Clears
good line
the
of play
board.
too.
Yeah, stop the Spike Ridge Steed on 6. Yeah, this is just right. Yeah, the Burgly Bully was stupid.
Yeah, the Burgly Bully made no sense. It's just the best way to lose the game, but it looks fancy because, hey, I'm getting coins. And I've got to get an Auctioneer in the back pocket.
So Xixo using Aldor as a come-from-behind tool. It's one of the nice benefits of that card. Paladin can often struggle when it's behind because of cards like Spike Ridge Steed, Magasaur, Murloc War Leader not functioning when you're behind, but cards like Aldor and True Silver help them catch up.
Well, BunnyHoppor's got a decent line of play here. I mean, there's the obvious, oh yeah, you can use the Drake to clean up, but you want to keep that Innervate for the Gadget 10, I think, ideally. You're nowhere near snowballing out of control, and maybe getting the extra coins on the Bully make that Innervate even better, because suddenly you're digging a ton through your deck. So I would be in favor of playing the Bully here, even though it seems super slow.
Okay, well, the Drake...
I'm not big on this. I understand why he's doing it, but I don't know if it's better.
It's pretty strong. Like, he's way ahead on board, and it sets up to play a Bully that's protected to try and get coins to get the gadget to go off. He's got sort of like a 3-turn plan of step 1, kill everything. Step 2, start bullying this Paladin.
So the point was just to protect the gadget sound long term, which is something, you know, he could have done a turn.
What if he just gadgets now?
I guess the idea, yeah, sure. I mean, it's a bit on the slowish side, but
if you just gadget and put Earth and Scales on the gadget, it's tough for a Paladin to get to it, right? You'd have to have some kind of equality clear, Pyro Equality, Equality Consecration.
You're correct. You're completely correct. Because I was looking at this from perspective of trying to go off with the Auctioneer right away. But if he thinks he wins the long game, then this is clearly just the better line.
Well, Druid definitely wins the super long game.
That's really close, man. I don't know. feel like it's closer than.
Put your faith in the
Taking
it
4 to
seems.
put 1 on that curator is painful if you're BunnyHoppor.
Yeah.
So because BunnyHoppor didn't develop the Gadget Stand Auctioneer last turn, Xixo felt very free to just develop an 8-drop on 8. But BunnyHoppor was scared that if he went Gadget Stand Auctioneer Earthen Scales last turn, that Xixo would Equality Consecration or Pyro Equality, and then BunnyHoppor might not have drawn enough cards off the Gadget Stand Auctioneer to keep himself going. But as it turns out, Xixo did not have the answer to the Gadget Stand Auctioneer. It would have worked out great for BunnyHoppor last turn. Is he going for it this turn? He figures now that Tyrone's come to play, he needs to, you know, put things to work. He needs to get to business. There's no time to play around. You can't play it as slow with Tyrion.
Yeah, I don't think you can. Not with this. No, I think you just have to go in. That's what the setup for last turn also was in a weird way. I am down with protecting that bully. I mean, the Drake is there to protect everything. Might as well make sure the stuff that's supposed to survive is kept healthy against Consec.
You ever put a steed on a Tyrion? It's a lot
You
of
ever put
death
Tyrion
rattle.
on a horse?
You could go steed
That
and
getaway
getaway Kodo, but you're giving him coins off Burglary Foley for the gadgets. That's really not okay. I think
Then you just steed and trade and let him deal with it.
there's just no way to kill that Gadget Stand Auctioneer. So I think if you're Xixo, you avoid playing any spells this turn. You probably just Primordial Drake.
And then you set up a pyro turn for the clear. Like over a few turns, if he defends again, you still have pyros and out. I kind of like that. I mean, you could play 2 spells with pyro at some point to get everything closed up after the Drake is played, and the opponent maybe plays something else that's defensive. So even in the event of like a second Jade Behemoth, you'd be okay.
Yeah. Key point here is Xixo just can't afford to play spells. Giving Burglary Bully coins to the Gadget Stand Auctioneer on board is just too much.
That Tyrion from Stonehill Defender was just MVP. We didn't really highlight it too much. Like, it was a big deal when he saw it, but
Yeah.
this is a matchup where it's particularly effective because there's really nothing in the Druid deck that's able to answer this. We saw the Ooze played for Tempo earlier because BunnyHoppor didn't find any ramp, and now this is essentially going to culminate in the Tyrion gaining like all the value in the world.
All the value, all the tempo, just all the good things that you want.
All the good things. Here goes the trades. This Tyrion is disgusting. This value has been completely absurd. And now BunnyHoppor is on the Jade plan. Lucky for him, he's got the second Auctioneer, which is a big deal. So he gets to refuel whenever he gets another wave of spells to play that are cheap enough to keep going.
So let's see. Xixo would like to establish a Murloc presence so that he can start getting value out of War Leader and Megasaurs. So he's going to use his Ashbringer to kill a 4/4 this turn. And then probably a Spike Ridge Steed on something to try and protect his Hydrologist to get that Murloc presence rolling.
Yeah, Noble Sack is a bit on the low value side because it doesn't really fight off against Druids very well. It's usually like one of the go-tos when you're like in minion combat. But I don't think this is one of those spots. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, that's not a line of play I had personally foreseen, but I like the idea of him being able to redo it next turn with the Spike Ridge Steed number 2.
So Xixo setting up Getaway Kodo on his Hydrologist. The Repentance sets up for a Pyromancer turn. Something like Pyromancer Spike Ridge Steed.
Yep.
Aya doesn't mind being repentant. She's okay with it.
Yeah, it's got to be the worst target for Xixo to hit in the entire deck. Like, he wanted a Jade Behemoth there. He wanted anything, Fandral, whatever. Just not the Aya Blackpaw.
So BunnyHoppor plays the Wild Growth, but not the excess mana. He wants to save that excess mana to combo with the Gadget Stand Auctioneer.
Okay, well, that's going to give Xixo... You could take
See here.
Do you ever Megasaur, like War Leader Megasaur, seems like a straightforward play, but
then the other 3 mana is
Pyro
awkward,
Steed is pretty sick.
Yeah, looks like he's going for Pyro Steed.
I mean, this is ridiculous. that hydrologist has seen some stuff, man. This thing, it's been through hell and back.
Yeah, one of the big weaknesses of Druid is just big minions. They don't have mulch. That's a big weakness of Jade Druid, I should say, not so much Token.
You're right.
Druid.
Yeah. Well, that's a decent card to find. Getaway Kodo is going to trigger, I believe, on the Wild Pyromancer.
Because it was played before the 1/1.
Right. Of small sequencing things that matter. I mean, anyway, you don't want to lose the 1/1 to the spell that you play. So swiping the Hydrologist is clearly what he has to do. The thing that's funny, too, is that the Hydrologist will bring out 2 Stegodons, which means that even after this is dealt with, Xixo still has some form of board presence. It's not quite the end of what he's got, but he's starting to run low on resources. The Megasaurs don't really count as full-fledged cards on their own unless you have some supporting Murlocs, which definitely this is.
So Xixo picks up a 1-mana Murloc on turn 15 or so, and it's actually a good draw because he has such strong Murloc synergy in his hand. He doesn't mind drawing 1-drop here. Yeah,
it's got to be one of the few cards in his deck that he was okay with getting, just because those Megasaurs were sort of stranded.
So Divine Shield protects his board, +3 attack makes his board more punishing. He figures the board's punishing enough with the War Leader and a potential Megasaur coming behind it. He just wants to protect it from removal, keep that War Leader around.
So this is where we Pyroblast Yogg-Saron right off the first spell.
Yeah, you think Yogg's coming out? I mean, he's got an option to go like Fandral, Nourish, Feral Rage.
Yeah, there's no reason to. You could Jade Idol first if you want to get extra Jades. You could just get yourself some extra armor. Yeah, he's got the Feral Rage. It's pretty sweet.
He's juicing the Yogg.
Yeah, just crank it up a few notches.
Nourish first. That's important sequencing. He doesn't want a Jade Idol. Doesn't have mana for it. He doesn't need like vanilla bodies in play. They don't really help against what Xixo's got going on. Oh, he can. If he innervates Nourish, he can't play the Feral Rage anymore. Wouldn't have mana for it.
Yeah, he's already played the first Innervate early in the game to get a Jade Behemoth out, I think. Oh no, that was the Jade Spirit, sorry. So I think there might be another one in the deck. Yeah, I'm not completely sure. Okay. I feel like there might still be one in the deck.
And his deck is so thin that he's just going for it.
He's close to the bottom of it anyway.
He hits Earth and Scales. That's another reason to go for this, is you can still defend yourself with Earth and Scales a bit.
Yeah. That summons a 7/7 and shuffles 3 extra copies of that stuff in it, so you get yourself a ton of armor in the process. So you're not dead to the board. So General Megasaur with +3 attack, or Wind Fury, sorry. That would mean there's 14, 19, the True Silver on top. I think the True Silver...
I think it's a little short.
Brings, yeah, it's like a few points of damage short, like 2 or 3. Huh. 1, even.
Okay, so Wind Fury would have been lethal then.
Yep. I think so, because it was exactly 1 more damage over this. Xixo, you misplayed there. Should have definitely played for that Wind Fury.
Xixo chooses not... Oh, he doesn't have board space. Yeah, okay. So, Yogg-Saron got a death. Do you take any trades first?
Did he... So he played Megasaur. He played Hero Power. What did he play this turn?
No, he didn't Hero Power. He didn't Hero Power.
Okay, so he Megasaur, True Silvered.
Yeah. Here comes Yogg. Let's see what's in it.
And then didn't make... Well, it's just... It's just going to kill Yogg right off the bat, as I said. Let's kill Yogg. Okay.
Okay, kills Yogg.
Oh my
keep killing his own minions. Wrong team, Yogg. Wrong team.
I'm amused by this. Pyroblast Yogg! Oh no, he doesn't die.
Okay. Oh, that's lethal. BunnyHoppor fatigued himself for sure off that Doom.
Yogg found lethal at least, right? There's something to be said about Yogg's potential. Nice fatigue right there. God of Death indeed.
Doomed. That's a lot of damage that Yogg put out. Go to -20.
It's not every day. Yoxeron wins a game like that. And Xixo's going to take it 3-1 in the series. After all, that Druid did not get to do what it wanted. Xixo definitely on the good end of that of those matchups for the most part. So we'll be taking a short break, guys, before we come back with the last match of the day. We're kind of on schedule at this point. You know, we've had some very different timed on some of the series in the past, but this time around it seems like everybody's best of 5 is kind of around the 3-1 mark with longer mid-range games. The last match of the day is going to be Frozen versus Orange. So for those of you who are rooting for Frozen, don't. You can always hope that he wins and beats Orange and takes a win away from Orange. But Frozen is effectively there's no chance that he moves on to the next stage of the event. But he's going to play it out and potentially steal from Orange a win that could be important for him to get. So on this note, we'll be right back. Take a short break. Don't go anywhere.